this morning, actually a pretty windy morning in the fall, and you might notice some Halloween decorations out here. So if you're watching this in the spring, be a little confused by it, just know that, hey, this was recorded around Halloween time. Super nice fall day, actually. So just the way that this area looks around this time of year, and actually around the rest of the year too, but especially this time of year, develops my preference for where I am today. So we're gonna talk about why I would prefer this area, and I know I haven't said exactly where I am just yet, but I will, but why I prefer this area and how it may really not matter to you. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, I'm Jason Compton with Living in Indianapolis, the team and the channel. Welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, welcome to you as well. So I am actually in Carmel, and I'm in East Carmel. And people ask me quite often, well, where do you live? I don't live in Carmel. I actually live with my family in Greenfield. And the reason we live in Greenfield is by choice. It is mostly due to the fact that my wife works there, and we're very, very close to her work. So our day-to-day is really important to us. Her being able to leave in the morning at a reasonable time, and then also not having to commute very far, and we have young kids. So we want just her time at work to be her time at work, but the times in between home and work to be very short. Knock that down quite a bit. That's one of our preferences. And people ask me, well, if Carmel's so great, why don't you live there? Well, that's the main reason why. We would absolutely live in Carmel. There's no doubt about it. It is easily one of my favorite places around Indianapolis. I've got lots of favorite places, or I should really say places I would consider. But if I were to live in Carmel, and my wife feels pretty close to the exact same thing that I do about it, we would honestly live anywhere, but we have our preference for what we like the most. And I am in that particular area. All of these homes are older. All of these homes are on larger lots, and not on giant lots. It's not like you're on 3 acres or anything like that out here, but you can find homes that are 0.4 up to half an acre, maybe a little bit more than that. And of course, sometimes less than that, but the lots might look larger just because of the way the home is sitting on it, but they also all look different and unique. And I can promise you that having been in a lot of these homes, the interior of them sometimes is unique and different, and sometimes annoyingly so, to where you just think, oh, this isn't gonna work. You're gonna have to make some changes. So I am in East Carmel right now. So I'm east of Keystone Avenue, and actually I'm a little bit south of 131st Street, going towards 126th Street. So just right in that area. This is older Carmel. It's not the oldest part of Carmel, but it's been around a while. All of these homes through here, they were built in the 70s and the 80s, and some of them, unfortunately for them, are still in the 70s and 80s, and that would be in every respect. So inside you'd have carpet that was installed then, and it's still there. And sometimes it's in the bathroom, right around the toilet. That is not something that you want to see in a house, especially today. That's not going to be very clean for very long. We all know that, so you'd have to change that. Kitchens, sometimes they're isolated. They're off somewhere on that main level of the house that's not really open to the rest of the house. Sometimes it's kind of cool, and other times you'd have to make some changes to get it a little bit more open or a little bit more connected with maybe a main part of the house that you like. And then, oh, there's plenty of leaves coming down. One just hit me right in the face. And this big tree coming up here in the front of me. Oh my goodness. It's really windy today. And they are just flying off of there like meteors. So anyway, despite all of those things, and you could certainly think of some of those things as negative, but I don't think of them as negative. actually think of them as opportunities, and an opportunity to make it what you want, and the house is in the location that you want. Because this is something that comes up so often, especially people moving to this area. We really have to dial that location in first. That really, in my mind, and ultimately ends up being, when we tease everything out, the most important thing in other people's minds too. So let's get the where down first. The house will come later. It might be the perfect house right away, where you can just move right in, and then at other times, it's actually gonna take a while to get it to the perfect house. And of course, other than the time that it takes, it also takes money to get there too. But the opportunity here in an area like this is that, well, you actually can get in here for less money than you can in other parts of Carmel. So that's some opportunity. Like this house right here, they just put in a brand new front walk, it looks like, up to the front door. The front porch itself isn't changed, but at least the walk is, and the driveway is brand new too. So a lot of new driveways through here, because if the home was built in the 70s, it's probably really pitted and cracked and crumbling, because eventually concrete's going to do that. So they replaced it, and that took some money to do. And is that the most exciting way to expend your money? It is not. Or replacing a roof, or an HVAC system, or making a repair in the basement of some kind that is not that fun. But those are necessary things quite often in homes like these. But there are opportunities to make it how you want it and get it in the location that you want. So people ask my preferences when we're out taking a look at homes, and this is what I usually tell them. You know, my preferences for you in particular, they don't really matter, because my preferences are personal. And again, I said we lived in Greenfield, Indiana, because the location just worked for us. We knew the house would come next once we decided we were going to move there. And where we live right now in the house, it's absolutely not perfect. And there are some things in there that I just think, what were you thinking whenever you designed this house? I can't understand why it's this way. And there are things that we're going to change, things that we have changed. It's just gonna be a work in progress, but we love where it is. So for an area like this, people ask, do you like this? You know, what do you think? Would you move here? My answer oftentimes is yes, I would, but first that location is going to have to work for us. And it might not, and that would be a hard no for me if it doesn't, and I don't want that to influence anybody. That's for sure. Because boy, if it works for you, then it works for you. You can't let somebody else tell you that it doesn't work for you just because they don't like it. And that's of course why there are so many different locations and so many different homes, so many different styles, so many different colors, so many different layouts, because people have all kinds of different preferences. So if I were to live in Carmel, my wife were to live in Carmel, our kids, not that they would really have much choice, they would just go with us, but where would we prefer to be? Well, we would prefer to be in this area for some of the reasons that I mentioned before. Just love the maturity, I love the trees, I love this sidewalk that I'm walking on here right now. I love the wide streets. I love its location relative to Keystone Avenue, which can get us to Indianapolis pretty fast, or we take it north and get to Westfield pretty fast. A place like 146th Street and 31 where they intersect, which is a big commercial area that's just super convenient. Or of course, downtown Carmel, if we wanted to go to the Arts and Design District or Midtown or City Center. Those are all exceptionally close to here. You might find getting a parking spot takes, sometimes it's not that bad parking there, but it might take you more minutes to find a parking spot than it does just to get to downtown Carmel. So we're talking like 7 minutes from here, from where I'm standing right now, and maybe it takes you 3 or 4 minutes, sometimes maybe a little bit more, up to those 7 minutes to find the parking spot. Oh, that's just so close. You could actually ride your bike if you wanted to from here to downtown Carmel. Just those pieces develop our preferences, along with that maturity, the homes, and all of the different variables that you can find in those homes. So think about your preferences. And of course, I know most people already do that, but really hard about those preferences. That, along with, let's say, a conversation with us and verifying whether your preferences are going to be met in some of the areas that you're thinking, because a lot of times people will call in or message in, which you can do, by the way. You can call, text, email, and we can set up a call and go through what it is that you like. And of course, what it is that you need. So you have your eye, let's say, on Carmel, or you have your eye on Brownsburg, places like that, or any other place around Indianapolis, or even Indianapolis itself. Do your preferences, or are your preferences easily found within those cities? We can help narrow that focus for you, because ultimately your preferences are certainly what matter. This whole area right here, this could be a nightmare for some people. Some people don't want, honestly, they don't want the trees. They don't want the leaves to worry about, like the ones that were hitting me in the face just not that long ago. Having to mow those up, mulch those up, pick those up, tree branches falling down, or even if you had large, huge mature trees hanging over your house, there are people who have had tree branches fall on their house and turns into not a disaster, but a lot of trouble. An insurance claim, roof damage, things like that. And they don't want anything to do with it. They want small trees and a newer construction home. You're not gonna find small trees here. You're not gonna find a new construction home here, at least not very often, unless one of these were torn down. But as a whole, it's just not going to be found here. So price range as well. Now, what price range are you looking in? Some people are looking at a really high price range, let's say $1 million, and they want a home like this in this neighborhood, or the home might be 2,000 square feet or so. Well, they're all gonna be way under $1 million. You may not have to spend that much money. You can actually spend less. And let's say they go to West Carmel, where you get more expensive homes on average, west of US 31, where you can spend $1 million, no problem. But the home's probably gonna be 5,000 square feet, maybe 6,000 square feet, and you may not want that. So those preferences that you have personally, what are they, and can we match those? As far as Carmel is concerned, this would match our preferences, but yours is up to you. And it doesn't matter what I think, and it doesn't matter what anyone else on my team thinks. We need to dial in what matters most to you. So reach out any way that you know how, and we'll try to help you dial in those preferences and where they can be found. And we'll catch you in the next one.